This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, everyone. Time being 4:45. I'd like to call this meeting of January 25th, 2024 to order. We'll all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First and foremost, I'd like to take a moment to thank the staff, all of the election workers, moderators, assistant moderators, and the DPW crew for the wonderful job that they did from, Monday night and Selectmen, Monday night, and then all day Tuesday at the polls. Thank you very much. It was well run. It was a very, very busy day. So thank you all for doing your part. I know the town clerk was still in town hall at 11:30 at night. So thank you all. And for the DPW crew for the last couple of days, keeping the roads clean. Thank you. Okay, we are voting on the 2024 budget and warrant articles.
So you should have in your binders the report from last week, which was January 18th. It's going to look like this.
I have a financial summary.
Looks like this one.
Ooh,
Yeah,
I might have found it.
You're
I think
in
I
it.
found
You're
the
in it,
budget.
Catherine. Yep.
I think I found it.
Is that 118?
I got the budget.
January 18 on the bottom right?
Yep. It was printed on the 18th.
Yep, that's it.
Where are the warrant articles?
I've got the 4. 1-4 is the,
You should,
I know I should, but
from last week, that
Yeah.
we were looking at,
Okay.
under the finance
That's-
tab,
I
maybe?
think I'm under finance, right?
Yes, you are.
And I've got this, which is 1-4. Don't know. Well, I don't have January 18th anyway. Maybe John does.
That's very strange.
118?
Okay. All right. You got 118?
I got 118, yep.
And, okay, all right.
Where do
So,
we find the warrant articles?
so the warrant articles are on page
15.
15 of that report,
Oh,
along with the estimated tax impact of each warrant article and the balance of the capital reserve funds as of the end of last year.
the only warrant articles we have are these,
Well,
and they're not written down as warrant articles.
no, not your typical document. I'll be sure to find a copy of that document and share it with administrator so that that we can put together all the wording. But this in terms of the money. These are the regular warrant articles, with the exception of the CBA wages, which is
So we're not going to be approving warrant articles. We're just going to be approving amounts to
The
put in
amounts.
warrant articles.
correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
And then I've included the estimated tax rate on the bottom. Of course, we'll be going through a reval, so our EV will change by the end of the year. But in any case, And then, of course, I've got the revenues in here as well for you to look at and vote on. Would you like to go by department in terms of
Mhm.
voting?
Yes.
So, so the Budget Committee had approved 772,401. The difference there is $5,000 to the department request, and the difference is in the legal expense line. And my concern with the reduction there was just simply in a reval year, looking at the types of costs that we may have from commercial appraisers, additional auditings or assessing services. That's where those things get charged to that legal line.
I agree. I don't think we've ever lowered legal during a reval year.
So that's the third line up from the bottom on page 3, legal general expense. Other than that, that's the only change between the department request and budget committee vote. This does include, as I mentioned last week, the updated wages for the administrator and support staff in town hall.
So the total for the department request was 777,401.
Correct.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve 777,401 for the administrative budget.
Ruggles second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Discussion.
I have a discussion.
Sure, go ahead.
Tim just said we should increase.
That's with the increase of $5,000
That
to
is
legal.
with the increase.
Yes.
Yeah.
No more questions.
Anybody else? Go ahead. No?
Well, it's just that certainly within this budget, if we exceed the 20,000, it's going to be 5,000 in the budget. Typically, we're at least, what, a couple 100,000 at the end of the year?
Well,
1,000?
if we're
As
fully,
of late,
if
I
we're-
mean, and at this point, the budget that the budget committee approved was almost 4%. I mean, 3.99%. Anything, I mean, sorry, I just think it's unconscionable to approve a budget that high. Just me.
we spent $22,000 last year, and it's a reval year.
Yes, but
So don't.
I was privy
but
to,
You say there's a couple 100,000, and I agree with you that at the end we'll have at least 6 figures left over. But determining where it is another matter. I don't think it's on that line.
doesn't have to be at the
Well,
bottom line budget.
But also we
But
have,
we budget with full disclosure of what we're doing.
But a lot of what we budget is just in case, just in case, just in case, which is why we end up with 6 figures at the end of the year, because we budget for
Well-
just in case.
well, your savings have come from unfilled positions. That's where
Right.
those have come from. So if you're unsuccessful in filling the positions, then
And there'll
you're
be
correct.
money left over. We're
If-
hopeful to be able to fill those positions.
And if
correct?
you fill the positions, will be very thin.
but we already have some litigation that's in progress right now. If that comes to fruition in 2024,
Don't remember. But I know there was an awful lot of uses of attorneys rather than calling the local government center last year.
well, there's a couple that we
Was
had
there?
to, yeah, well, there's a couple that we had to call. So
Yeah, but there were many we didn't.
it's a judgment call on that one.
I would have to have lots of for instances.
Well, I was privy to an attorney-client situation I felt was absolutely a waste of money, ridiculous. Lasted what, an hour? It was absolutely,
Right,
I was shocked.
yeah, that we
Sorry.
ended up with right,
Shocked,
I agree.
shocked.
I know which one she's talking about, but we have somebody right up property that we have that's going into, that should be coming to a close soon because of the timeline. And I think that that should be a pretty penny with the lawyer. I think we're being billed as we go along. I don't know if we are we?
I'm not
We
sure.
are.
We are
Yeah.
being billed as we go
Mhm.
for
Very
up
sure.
here. Okay.
Lawyer didn't do that.
Mhm. Right.
Okay. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Please
Okay.
let the record show I voted no.
All right. Let the record show that Catherine has voted no on the administrative budget.
Okay, there's no change between the department request and budget committee voted amount for the town clerk tax collector budget, or for the finance budget, or for the IT budget.
Okay, so hold on a minute here. I've kind of lost my page here.
So on
Okay,
page
so
5,
I see town clerk.
Yep.
So the budget committee, there's no change with the budget committee on this one.
that's right.
And then,
That's $150,983 for the town clerk tax collector's budget.
okay, so moved.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion passes.
Okay, there's no difference between, if you look at on the top of page 6, the total finance and long-term debt, $594,136, $136 is the same for the department request and budget committee voted, 594,136.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, there was also no difference in the information technology budget between the requested amount and the budget committee voted of $115,276.
So moved.
Jessman, second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Oh, everybody's in favor. Thank you.
In the land use budget, the original department request was $147,099, and the budget committee voted was $141,899. The difference being a reduction in the economic development line, which is just above the totals in the middle of page 7. And that was just cutting back some of the money that was originally planned for beautification by $4,200.
So that leaves $2,300 for anything that goes on downtown?
That's correct.
Replacement of flags or anything?
Flowers, holiday decorations.
Any of that? Board? Is there anything going on with the economic development that would change this amount? No?
Not that I know of specifically.
Me either. Okay. So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
You're voting for 147?
141,899.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm for some reason that is not a so the number would be 142,899 is a $4,200 difference. So as you're going through the rest of the budget, let me see if I can determine where that difference was.
So the total we're voting on is $142,899.
That's correct.
It's a difference of $4,200.
Difference of 4,200.
And it's coming out of the economic development beautifications line.
What did the budget committee vote on? 141,899?
That's correct. Yep. If you recall, Catherine, the 4,200 was what was there was an increase to the treasurer of $1,200, and There was a
No, I remember.
$3,000 difference somewhere else that,
We cut some, um,
but
I think education was one of them.
right.
Was it education in that one? Yeah, they used 135.
So so actually,
No, we didn't cut that.
you actually cut it $5,200, this budget $5,200, to come up with the 141,899.
5,200, so it's $2,300 left in it?
2,300 comes to the 141,899.
So we go back to
But
the,
it's 142, you said.
Well, I believe the number is correct. What was incorrect was the difference between the 2,300 and the 7,500 is 5,200, not 4,200.
you want
So
to,
I misspoke when I said the difference between the two was 4,200. It's 5,200.
do you want to go, leave that one and check it, double check it and go on to the others, or do you want to vote on this one
I'm certain of the total.
of 141,899?
Yes.
Okay, so we're voting 141,899.
Isn't there a motion on the table for
There is.
142?
There was, but then
I withdraw my second.
Tim corrected it.
I didn't hear the withdrawal.
Yeah.
That's just me.
All right, so the motion, I'll make the motion for back again for 141,899.
Jessamine, second.
Everybody understand it's for 141,899. Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Health and welfare, the amount requested was $97,521, which was the amount the budget committee voted and approved.
So moved.
Ruggles second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 The public works and sanitation budgets were approved as requested, which was a total of $1,436,639, which is shown in the middle of page 10.
Mhm.
And just to remind you that that did include a change, which I described last week, in the new labor position for recycling, which was budgeted for half the year because of the practicality of getting up and running.
Does this include the crew member if we were to,
Half the crew member, right,
for recycling?
for recycling.
This doesn't include a crew member.
So this is.
We don't need a recycling guy until we get a recycling center. Right now, it's not set up, so we don't need a guy until probably June.
But we need to replace a guy now.
So there's a director position, 5 crew, and then the new position budgeted for half the year.
Right.
So we have in the
So-
budget that
You
extra
have
guy,
5
the replacement guy.
In the,
5 crew.
you have 5 crew in the
Yeah.
budget.
You have 5 crew
Okay.
currently. You have
And
5
a
crew in the
director.
budget. You have an open director position currently. And
All
then
right.
half the recycling position.
It was the 5 crew I was concerned with.
Yep.
Okay. So,
So that's 1,436,639.
did I already make a motion for that, correct?
No.
All right, so
no.
moved.
Jessamine, second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion, which we already had, but, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, in the police department budget, the request was $2,291,780, and that is the amount the budget committee, albeit not unanimously, approved for $2,291,780.
So moved.
Ruggles second.
Discussion.
Um,
Zip it.
Promised the chief I wouldn't.
Zip it.
without him.
I'm,
Is that legal for me to say that?
I'm
Go ahead, Joe.
concerned about the uh, staffing. We have one open lieutenant position, which we're budgeting for. We have one detective and one patrol that we're budgeting for. Exactly how many of those do we really intend to fill? Do we anticipate filling?
Yes,
I've heard this before,
tonight.
but the last couple of years, we've budgeted for
Waste money.
people that we never got.
I think it will bring clarity tonight on that, Joe.
Okay, but I won't vote yes until I get clarity.
There's also an open communications specialist position too. So there are 4 open positions. All right, so you want to hold off
We
on,
could
Well,
table
all I
PD
could say
until
is I
after the
won't vote
discussion.
yes until I get some clarity. We can come back to this one.
After
Yeah.
non-public.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, let's
All right.
table it.
Please.
Paul
That's a
can let
good
me
one.
know tomorrow
Okay.
how you vote. Then in culture and recreation, so the difference there is, in fact, well, I think it might be best just to go down through them. You see on the bottom of page 12 is where Parks Commission expenses start, $31,196. Then there's the park maintenance for the island of $3,000. Hall Memorial Library request was $154,148. And the Budget Committee approved their prior year amount plus a 3% increase for staff at their new scheduled hours, which was a total of $141,393. Outside of that, the Tilton Events Committee, they put $1 in that line as opposed to the request of $3,000. And everything else, I believe, was the same. So the original department request was $202,345, and the Budget Committee voted was $186,591.
I, I have a difficult time with this one. Now, I had a long conversation with Heather Thibodeau, and if you look at some of the statistics that are out there that say in order for you to rent an apartment, you need to earn $29 an hour to be able to afford an apartment in today's society. And with the wages that these people are earning right now, they couldn't afford that.
If you look at if you're talking about the library, if you look at them, they're all part-time except for the librarian.
Hmm.
So how would one expect to have a living wage with a part-time job?
Even the librarian is part-time?
No, I said except the
Okay.
librarian. I
So
don't have my budget book, so I can't look exactly, but 90% of these positions.
is the wage increase for the librarian?
Well, remember, it's a bottom line
Some.
budget, but the intent
Some
of the
was.
budget committee was to add money for wage increases if they so desire, but they can use the money any way they want.
Yeah, but they decreased the amount of, you say that they added money, but they took out 18 grand. According to maybe I'm looking on the wrong page, but
Well, when they came in, they talked about poverty level. The wages weren't at poverty level. There was a lot of things that didn't make sense that they
Hmm.
said. And please, I'm not speaking for the budget committee. I'm speaking just for myself. For me, I was disappointed in the direction the library was taken. If you look at the statute 202, or any of them refer to library, they talk about literacy. And my thoughts is that the library should focus on that. Not that they shouldn't do these other things, but their focus seems to be getting away from literacy.
Books.
Right now we have people, trying to create resumes, improving their job positions. They don't have a program over there to help somebody do that. Um, and there's a lot of things they could do on the lines of literacy besides just renting books, but they're not. They're going into arts and crafts. Well, that's what we pay the Pines Community Center for,
You
those
can check out a
services.
skill saw. I don't know about tools. They have tools that you can check out. I complained about this several years ago. Library is good. I used to love the library, went all the time.
Me too.
And I don't have any problem with books. That's the main message for me. But
Me too.
I like the idea of self-improvement. How to get resume is a heck of a thing.
Tim.
Well, I
Well-
mean, it's just so many things. And that's my personal opinion that they could branch
Well,
out
I
into
share it.
rather than arts and crafts.
Well, I was just going to read down through the list. So the current wages for the head librarian, the director, is $48,800. The adult services librarian which is a 40-hour per week position, is $18.50 an hour. The children's services librarian is $15.12 an hour at 28 hours. They're moving up from 28 hours to 37 hours a week. The programming librarian is currently being paid $15.12 an hour, and they are at 30 hours a week. Then there's a library assistant that's 10 hours a week at $15.12, and they're moving up to 20 hours a week. Then there's substitute librarians and pages and maintenance, which are between $10 an hour and $14 an hour. And those hours range from 2 hours to 4 hours to 6 hours a week.
They have two full-time.
You have 2 full-time, and in their proposed hours, the third one will be, that's probably considered full-time, the 37
32?
hours.
And
It's
the
37.
average per hour is for
Uh,
the full timers?
So, let's see, I believe the librarian, I'd have to calculate it, but 48,000 would be somewhere around $24 an hour or 23 something an hour. The adult services librarian, $18.50 an hour. The children's librarian, $15.12 an hour. They were proposing wages of $56,000 for the director, $21.28 for the adult services librarian, and $17.39 for the children's services librarian, programming librarian, and library assistant. And
There's
then
only one degree amongst them. Is that correct?
I don't know that.
My
I
understanding.
don't think there were any
There's only one librarian.
that does not have a degree.
She doesn't have a degree either.
She has experience. I believe it's one of the trustees that has a degree.
Are we talking about degrees in library science?
Yeah.
Just to specify for the public? I'm just.
Right.
Yeah.
There's
Because
yeah,
there-
yeah,
Because there are other members of the staff who do have a degree.
Certifications.
Well, no, they also have degrees.
But
So,
not in library sciences.
no, so just
Which is
for
pertinent to
specificity's sake,
this
if we're talking
particular
about
thing.
library science, so.
Are they having trouble staffing?
It's okay, I think, from everything that I've culled from discussions, whether they were with us or when I went to the budget committee meeting, one of the budget committee meetings when they were there.
Okay, what do we want to do? We have also a public hearing coming up, and we also have town meeting, which is another appeal. For me, that kind of a wage is it's low.
You had a full-time job.
Well, I think that is a full-time job, what I'm referring to.
Oh, well.
Get it? You need a,
It's I'm not going to say that because I'm not certain. I was going to say, I think so.
I think that we've made every effort in our own town here, in our own staff, to keep in line with wages and the average, so on and so forth. This is one that serves our town.
You know, I would rather, quite frankly, see this as a discussion on the floor at town meeting. I'll make a motion to approve the total culture and recreation at the in the amount of $186,591, which reflects $141,393 for Hall Memorial Library.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion?
I think, when we look at that, we've always asked in the town, we've asked our departments to take a look at what neighboring communities are paying. So maybe we can make the request of the library to ask to sort of, pop around to the other libraries and find out where their staff is
Well,
at
I'm
in
sure
terms of
there
They did
sort of the
the
hourly
list.
wages.
The
that
list they gave
information.
the budget committee felt was not comparable to
Okay.
Tilton Northfield.
So maybe that becomes one where maybe if they can find some comps.
The
That are-
community
Yeah, that
can
are,
have a discussion about what they want from the library.
And that's what the budget committee figured.
yeah, we'd be looking, I mean,
Okay with that.
Yeah.
I've got an opinion that doesn't necessarily line up with 141, but we can discuss that.
Yeah.
What
Right.
town meeting figured out.
yeah. And I think, I mean, what Catherine's saying, I think when they look at comparable libraries, I think you're looking at communities anywhere between 5,000 and sort of 8,000 people, because this one services the two towns, which we know is roughly around 6,800. So.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye.
Okay, and then in the outside agencies, you'll notice that there's a difference between the requested figure and the budget committee approved figure under youth assistance program. And the purpose of that was because of grants that the youth assistance program is receiving. So the director had modified her original request, I believe, or it had been calculated less the grants that were expected through the first half of the year. So that you see the 39,667, that's net of grants that youth assistance receives, and therefore lowers our portion. You'll notice there are changes between community action program. The original request was 12,000. The budget committee approved 8,300. Franklin Visiting Nurses was requesting $10,000. Budget committee approved $6,000. Greater Lakes Child Advocacy Center request was $5,000. The budget committee did not approve that. Twin Rivers Food Pantry requested $1,200. Budget committee approved $500. CASA requested $1,000. Budget committee approved $0. And Lakes Region Mental Health Center requested $7,000 and budget committee approved $0. So there you have the differences.
I'd like to make a motion for $137,737, which gives back the $4,000 that the budget committee took away from Franklin Visiting Nurses Association.
Second.
There was a motion and a second. Discussion. I'll start. This is the second year that they've taken away, and yet we have more that they come into Tilton for, and they do a tremendous job within the community itself, going home visits, but they do an awful lot at the senior center as far as doing clinics. I would really hate to see the clinics be removed if they were unfunded. They do an awful lot for our seniors in town here, for anybody for that matter. An awful lot. You can't even imagine what they do. They keep people alive, our residents. You can't put a price on that. Any other discussion?
Only that I know what you said is true. And I've availed myself of the senior center clinics. They come in and they trim people's toenails. They can't trim their toenails. That's a thing. And a lot of people depend on that. They line up waiting to get that. And that's just that one thing. Now, toenails can get out of control, you know?
And
And that's
through,
just the one. And they do blood pressure things.
right. And through those clinics, they found multiple other things that would not have found if the seniors did not avail of those clinics. And so that's where the networking comes. And so we won't get into that, but that's where the networking begins. And that is an invaluable service to the seniors.
A lot of these outside agencies that the budget committee didn't fund completely had a lot of money in reserves, which influenced their decision.
Including the visiting nurses?
I believe so.
There's Franklin Visiting Nurses has a lot of money in coffers, but some of that money is set aside. That sort of like, if we parallel that with the town of Tilton in capital reserve money, which we can't touch unless it's for that specific reason. And so when you look at the bottom line and you say, oh, they've got lots of money and they can use that. Well, some of that is put aside for very specific reasons and they can't touch that. Sometimes it's an endowment that's very specific to, sometimes it's an investment that they can't take away from. So just to look at a bottom line is not the reality of it. But I don't want anyone in the town of Tilton, whether it's just a youth coming back from a serious surgery that they need to have a home visit, or it's a senior. I don't want anyone to lose out. It's an invaluable service. Anyway, any more discussion?
So,
Scott.
yeah, so the public knows my vote will be cast based on something that I've mentioned in this forum multiple times that I just can't vote for, which is the continued increase in Pines programming for less and less use by the Tilton community, specifically the Tilton community. So it has nothing to do with anything else that was discussed.
I call the question.
Well, I think the public needs to know what Scott is talking about, and the Pines Community Center asked for.
Had they been watching any of our previous meetings, Scott's been very upfront about his issue with the Pines Community Center.
So what if this is the first meeting that they've got?
Then they
Okay.
better read minutes because Joe just called the question.
Okay, got it.
I did call.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Nay.
Okay.
Let the record show, please.
Yep. Motion fails.
I make a motion to fund the total outside agencies in the amount of $133,737.
Second.
Discussion. No discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Okay.
We're on a roll.
I'd like to make a motion to approve $4,270 for Lakes Region Planning.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion for the Youth Assistance Program for $39,667.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make a motion for Community Action Program for $8,300.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Make a motion for the Greater Lakes Child Advocacy Center request of $0. All right, never mind. Make a motion for the Twin Rivers Food Pantry for $500.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that fails. Okay. Make a motion for $10,000 for the Franklin Visiting Nurses Association.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Opposed?
Didn't we just kind of vote on that?
No, we voted on the whole budget,
Uh-huh.
and Scott didn't vote on it because it included the Pines.
Okay.
All right.
Aye.
Okay. Aye.
So that passed.
That passed. Okay. Make a motion for $75,000 for the Pines Community Center. That's it.
Second.
Discussion.
To clarify for those who might not have watched before, and I'll try and make this brief, over the past 3 years, minimum, the numbers for specific Tilton resident participation in Pines programs that are cataloged, where they are checking people in from the different towns, has continued to drop. It was at 29% last year. It's now at 23% participation in those cataloged programs. That is where I have my issue with continuing to bump up our municipal funding for that program. It has nothing to do with the programming itself, as I have been a coach in some of their athletic programs and my children participated. But when we only have 23% of the participants that have been logged in their programs, and those programs that have fees in them, I fundamentally cannot vote for that raise in the budget.
Okay. Thank you, Scott. Any other? All those in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Failed.
Abstain.
One abstention.
I know what that vote could mean to the operation of the Pines. But I don't disagree with Scott.
Do you have another motion? Anybody?
I'll make a motion to fund the Pines Community Center for $70,000.
I'll second that. Discussion. Last year they asked for $72,250. This year they're asking for $75,000, so $70,000.
I gotta go back to what Scott said.
Hmm.
I mean, on a per usage basis, and we've had this discussion about we purchase services. No matter what it is, tree service, we pay by the tree. We don't, they don't charge us for 50 trees if we only have 8 taken out. But I love the pines.
But we are supposed to be buying services. supposed to be a value exchange. I sent you a copy of.
No, I know,
Mhm.
I know.
And this isn't what happens here. The entire, oh my God, shut the chicken coop door. The entire cost of running the Pines is split in half between the two communities.
I get it.
So we're no longer buying services. They want us to pay
Support it.
for their organization to exist.
Mm.
And they became a nonprofit. They used to be municipally associated. They're not. They're a
Mhm.
private nonprofit.
I sat on the board. I don't sit on the board now.
But I will say, in my years as a selectman, they have improved the services to include many more of the young people in our community than they used to.
I will also say I have a little inside track in that the building needs a lot of work.
It does.
Yes, it does.
It's old and it wasn't,
But they have a building fund for that.
they don't have anywhere, they have some money set aside, but new furnace, 12 grand, you know, and they got to build a new, do the back, another 20 grand.
They chose to become nonprofit.
Who owns that building?
Pines-
Uh,
Oh, doesn't the town of
Town of
Northfield?
Northfield owns the building.
Right.
Leased to
But
them,
the
I believe.
money for the repairs comes out of the Pines
Pines.
budget. So there you go. And I think we need to have a serious discussion with the Pines and or the Northfield Selectmen about the future of the Pines, just paying for it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm a big supporter of the Pines and what they do. But the paying for it part seems like Tilton taxpayers are getting to pay much more toward that resource. Maybe it's me, but
Okay. There's a motion on the floor for $70,000, a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, so you have it all separated. Do you need a final vote on the
Well,
Well,
total?
Twin
No, you
Rivers
didn't
Food
vote
Pantry
on-
is hanging.
Yeah, and also,
No, we
you
did that one.
We did that one.
It
failed.
failed.
I failed.
We did
Do you want me to-
500.
So is it going to be a zero?
So you need to vote in zeros if you want zeros in these. So that would include the other three as well.
Okay. So I'll make a motion for the Greater Lakes Child Advocacy Center request, CASA, and the Lakes Region Mental Health for zero.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion.
I can't vote zero for CASA. I know what they do. I know what they do in Tilton. I know what they do.
Have they picked up any of their money in the last couple of years that we've given them?
Oh, yeah.
They have?
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't have last year's request or funding levels on
because
this one.
Because it wasn't
It was.
funded last year.
No.
Mm.
It was funded last year? It wasn't?
Not,
Was not.
No.
was not.
I don't think I agreed with it then either.
Well, do you want to take a different approach? You want me to withdraw my motion? Do them one at a time?
Any way you
Call the
want.
question. Let's just vote on it. See where it
All those in
goes.
favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
All right.
You don't
Passes.
need to go and do other things.
Oh,
All right.
get her done.
Make a motion. Well, you already turned down 500. Make a motion for,
What's the total?
where is Twin Rivers Food Pantry?
Franklin, isn't it?
Franklin. It's a new one that opened.
Been there for a few years.
Twin Rivers Food Pantry for $400.
Instead of 5?
Well, you already, the motion failed for 5.
I thought-
No, the bottom line failed for 5.
No, we
No,
did
went
it
back-
individually.
We went back at 5.
I don't know if I abstained, but 500 is not enough. 500 is nothing. You go to the grocery store, you can't get out for less than $100.
But we have a food pantry that we support. And
Do we,
if we have
what
people,
money do we give that food pantry?
Once a year, we do the,
We do support it, true enough, but we don't give them any money.
they've never asked for money because
we support it once
we
a year with,
it's supported by the
The Vicky
community.
Yes.
Virgin food drive.
Yes.
I've participated.
And the Board of Selectmen started that years ago.
True enough.
So the feeling is, we can't support every food pantry in the state. And the majority of the services supplied to our citizens is going to come from our local food pantries.
we supported a couple for a long time, and then one went away. So,
But I mean,
Okay,
that's
all right.
what was expressed.
but
So the motion is what now?
$400.
And you have a second?
Do we have a second?
Second, if we didn't,
Yeah. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So failed again. All right. Make a motion not to fund Twin Rivers Pantry.
second. Guess right.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
Okay. All right. So that takes us on to
You have
the,
a bottom line on that section there?
not as yet,
Okay,
no.
all right. Good.
But I got them all. In fact, let me just recount that for Sue's purposes. So I have Lakes Region Planning at 4270, Youth Assistance Program at 39,669, Community Action Program at 8,300, Franklin Visiting Nurses at 10,000, Pines Community Center at $70,000, and zero for the remaining four.
Sounds right.
So then we're on to the suggested warrant article amounts for 2024. Or actually, I'm sorry, estimated revenues is on the next page. So the total estimated revenues, and again, these are just estimates, $2,727,808 for our general operating revenue and the estimated sewer revenue pass through.
What is the difference between the budget and, wait a minute, there's a big difference.
Well, you're looking at the 23 budget and then our estimated year end, that's still changing. And then really all you're looking at is the 24 budget. There's no, this is based on my estimates from year to year when I've budgeted this.
Did you estimate highway miscellaneous and recycling to 40, from 9,000
I did
to 45,000?
to reflect increases in recycling revenue.
But if we're only going to have it for a half a year?
Well, the towns that are up and running, many of them are between 80 to 100 and
Okay,
$100,000.
okay. I didn't realize that.
Now that could be an area of exposure. It is possible,
Mhm.
but if we have dedicated, if you look in terms of the money that we're expending, if for some reason we don't hire and get up and running, we're not going to have that expense, but we're also not going to have that revenue.
Mhm.
So if you look at it from that standpoint, it follows the expense.
And the school resource officer reflects actual usage, correct?
Right. And keeping in mind that half this, they're on a school year, we're on the calendar year. So this is what we're going to be able to budget for. And it's possible that we could budget for more than that. But looking at where we started for the year, this is what we opted for. But given that we have someone full-time now in that position, we should be able to, going forward, reach our historical numbers.
Sale of town property. We have any pieces coming up for?
Well, you do
This year.
have a deeded property that you deeded this last year.
Yep.
And then you also have, if you recall, there was a piece of property that was auctioned that fell through, and it was offered to the second. They declined, and the town has owned it since then, but it's a buildable lot with sewer and water.
And then we have one over on,
The Silver Lake, you're
Yep.
talking about Silver Lake? Yeah, and there's one other. So there's actually two.
noise over by, not Silver Lake, but over by Ruby Lane.
Oh, yes, right. Yep. So there are some opportunities there, but it's really dependent upon, what the board decides to do.
Right.
Okay.
I'll make a motion for 1,900,000,
You think at the
Oh.
bottom.
the bottom,
Yeah.
$2,727,808 for total estimated revenue.
Second.
Discussion, Joe. You have that inquisical look in you.
Yeah, well, I see that, does the budget committee review the sewer budget?
They
Yes,
do.
They did.
Okay, good enough. And that's it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Aye. Motion
Okay.
passes.
So then on to the next page are the amounts for the warrant articles. And as I said, in the far right column at the top of page 15, you'll see the balances of the capital reserve funds as of the end of 2023. So, and if you recall from my reports, I've detailed where there's an issue with the roads, bridges, sidewalks capital reserve fund. Where the second course of work has to be done for the last two roads that were done in the fall, and if there isn't sufficient money put into the roads, bridges, sidewalks capital reserve fund, it'll have to be paid out of the operating account. It's just under $16,000 difference. So in any case, these were the 90,000 is what we typically put in. That will really not allow much additional work to be done in 2024. Highway equipment was increased based on the 10-year equipment plan. The building infrastructure capital reserve, that's the one that was started new last year, that has a little over 20,000 in it. That's for any major infrastructure in one of our town buildings.
Including town hall, correct?
Including town hall, right? So it'd be any of the town building structures. The Island Preservation and Improvement Capital Reserve Fund, that was $10,000, and there's $87,140 in it right now. This one, there was money, if you recall, taken out of the operating budget for the hydrological study. So it is possible that you wouldn't have to put anything into it this year until there's a more definitive plan. But
And in light of the bridge and its situation over there, I don't think we're going to be spending any money this year.
Except we have to stabilize that island.
Mm-hmm.
And DES has said we have to have an engineering study.
Right.
And we
And a
have
plan.
money. We have $87,000. We've been putting money in for that study for the better part of 10 years.
Yeah, and then all
And
of a
yet
sudden.
we have no study.
It's going to be
Yeah,
more
but
than
all of a
87.
sudden, the focus went to the bridge.
The hydrology study should have still been pursued, bridge or no bridge.
I agree with you.
Well, we're here now, so.
And here we are.
But you also changed the
Right.
purpose of this fund. It's more
did.
It's more
We did.
encompassing.
It was
Well-
directly for hydrology originally.
It had to be changed because it was the original warrant article was specific to a very specific study that was done
I know.
2009
I disagree with you that it had to be
Well-
changed.
to be used for
Other
to be
things.
used for other things because it couldn't be used for that any longer. So it couldn't be used until the purpose was modified for whatever you wanted to do.
Oh, look, you just wanted the fund so you could use it for other things besides
No.
stabilizing the island.
We have to think about the hydrology study and incorporate it with whatever the state is going
I was
to
gonna
do.
say, the hydrology study done in 2009 is gonna be null and void. As
Correct,
soon as they change the diversion of the water.
right. And why can't we get them to do the hydrology study?
Perhaps we can,
And
but
perhaps
we
we
don't
can,
know
we
that.
haven't
Right,
pursued that. But what I'm saying is, since the purpose of the fund was changed, you also have trees on the island that,
right.
if anybody's looked, they're a little sketchy.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
one that's down.
One's down
One's
completely.
down, but there's a couple that are real
Yeah.
sketchy.
Yeah.
Right.
And,
No, I certainly agree with you on the hydrology study, but I think that if we need to, because they said 2024, 2025 for the bridge work over here, so we need to get on to the state with the little teeth in it, with our town administrator,
I
and
think we have
say,
just the man that can do that.
when we got just the man to do that, to say, where are you with this? And then say, we want you to do this, and you're gonna pay for the hydrology study, period.
Because we have one that's no longer any good based on the flow of water coming out from that new
Right.
retaining wall.
And all the new work that they want to do to the road, it's gonna direct hit our island. And so it's up
That
to them to
seems
pay.
misleading. It's not gonna go on the island.
Well, the water is gonna
The
go,
water will, yes, the
Right.
water will.
I think for a 2 cent increase, we should continue to fund it
Agreed.
because we're going to
There's
be
a lot of
active.
work. There's definitely a lot of work
Yeah.
that needs to be done
It's-
over there.
The 14 cents is a little concerning, but I guess there's nothing we can do
but
about
I
it.
don't think that we have enough money in the roads, bridges. I think we're cutting ourselves short this year.
I think we need to just pull the belt in and stay on course. The deviation from the plan is what caused the problem.
You're right, but because of that, we have projects that have started that won't be finished, particularly down here if we don't do that.
Academy Street
The other,
jumps
yeah,
up and
that's the one I brought up last week too.
Well, number one, Academy Street,
But we don't have an agreement.
the
Who
curbings,
says we will get one?
Correct.
That's right.
the curbings and the roads that we've already started that said that were going to be done last year and they put off to this year, which we won't get done.
I know you've already got a 4% budget. I just,
what's our average rise in the budget over the last 10 years?
It's actually been fairly low. It's been under
Barely
3%.
Under 3%.
I would say on average 3 or under.
I'm guessing a lot of that 4% is increase in wages.
yeah.
Some, yep.
Retention of employees.
Mhm.
Let's put it that way.
Okay. All right,
So
let's vote.
the CBA wage increase, that's the first full year is what you're looking at there. What would actually be, because we have to show it by year 1, year 2, year 3, but what would actually be added to the budget would be half of that for the calendar year 24, if approved at town meeting.
Right, because it starts in July.
Right. The improving, maintaining Lakes Capital Reserve request that came from the Conservation Commission, the $5,000.
I make a motion to approve $5,000 for the maintaining the lakes capital reserve fund. Or are we voting on the whole?
We vote on the bottom line.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll save us some time.
So the bottom line there is $232,158.
Make a motion that we recommend the total sum of $232,158 for warrant articles.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded. Discussion?
So, just to be clear, we're only voting on the amount of monies to be in the warrant articles
We're
that are
not.
to be created.
Correct.
We're not voting on warrant articles. Okay.
No.
Can I ask a question? And I may be way offline, and I'm only asking it because I don't know I don't know the answer. But the Conservation Commission, when they do land use change taxes, that the money that they get, I don't understand why they don't do some of the lakes, maintaining the lakes in the milfoil.
I don't think they can. I'm
Their
pretty
mon-
sure
Is
their
it-
money
is
goes
that
to the
the
purchase
reason?
of new parks.
Okay, got it.
And
Yeah, it's very specific.
specific.
All right.
It
I don't-
is indeed, because I've asked that question in the past.
Okay. Well, now I feel stupid, but that's all right.
No.
No,
It's not,
good
it's
question.
not a common theme in my life. All right, let's vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great. All right.
All right, Tim, do
I
we have a
appreciate it.
budget with the
We have a
exception of?
budget and we have the
Madam Chair.
amounts and you'll
exception
see
of
all the
PD. We
wording
didn't
next
vote on
week.
PD.
Thank you for all the
next
hard work
meeting.
on this.
Yep. Thank you.
Pat,
Appreciate
Paul
it.
has a question.
Madam Chair, now that Chief Gilman is here, perhaps.
Can't.
Okay.
It's non-public.
Oh, that is?
Yes.
Yes.
What, the question that Joe is asking
Oh, I
is
beg your pardon.
non-public.
Beg your pardon, Joe.
Someone will, you'll
Yes,
have
we'll,
the total for me for the police budget.
right,
Terrific. Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks, Tim.
Okay, budget is complete. 2 weeks ago, we were asked for the timeline for 549 West Main Street and also information for the Tilton Island Bridge. Selectman Scanlon is not here tonight. What I would like to suggest to the board that we take the handouts for 549 West Main Street and the Tilton Island Bridge,
Thank you.
and then perhaps the following meeting, and then discuss it at that time.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm good with that.
You okay with that?
Yep.
Okay, that gives us time to do that. Which also brings up a question.
Thank you.
We can meet on the 1st. The 1st is next week, right?
Correct, it is.
Oh, so we are meeting
That
next
is
week.
our meeting.
Okay, we are meeting next week. Tim? Tim, I gave you the wrong information. We are meeting next.
You are. Okay.
Yep.
The first Thursday
I
of the month.
didn't realize it was the 1st of the month.
Getting
Yeah.
back on
Getting
track.
done early, that's right.
And then, yeah, well, I thought maybe we didn't have anything real pertinent that we could skip a week, but.
No, I'd rather be back on the regular schedule.
Right, I agree. It's only these last,
So, Madam Chair, just for clarification, is it the 1st and 3rd? Will it be the 15th or the 8th?
it would be the 1st and the
Which
5th.
is- which is the
I think it's
15th?
the 15th.
Yeah,
15th.
it is the 15th.
1st and the
Thank you.
15th,
Thank you.
As long as we're not sitting here at 10 o'clock at night.
correct. It's only during the budget
I'll bring the Valentine's.
and
cake.
town meeting that we needed to go every
Pot of tea.
week until we get everything kind of zipped up.
Right.
Okay, so moving right along, town administrators report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. behind my report is the amended project agreement from DOT. If you remember in your binders, you had the red line version, which Jeannie had produced, and it was a draft. And so I've compared that to this exhibit, and the agreement is absolutely as tight, and I vetted it. You'll notice that DOT has asked for me to sign it and the board to approve my signature there by what's called a certification of authority. So we will have to supply the minutes to them that reflects that the board did allow the town administrator to approve the agreement.
I understand about subrogating our authority and voting for you to sign, but why would the DOT want your signature as opposed to the Board of Select?
Because they've been dealing with the town administrator, I think, Joe. That's
The what? I'm sorry.
that they've been dealing with the town administrator.
They were dealing with Jeannie from the beginning on this.
So,
So that's why it's addressed to the town administrator.
Yeah, but wouldn't Jeannie have passed it to us?
well, that was my question. Do we want them to start addressing it to the Board of Selectmen, or does it really matter? Because Paul brings it all to us. So-
At some point in time, there was a discussion early on that somebody had to be like a management or manager of the project itself.
And that's going to be the
And
town
that would,
administrator?
and that would have been the town administrator.
Okay. Good enough.
So just for clarification, I'll be working with Kevin Russell of DOT and also Brian Colburn of McFarlane Johnson.
Right.
So if you could, Madam Chair, if you could make a motion to have the town administrator sign the agreement for DOT, I'll be very grateful.
So are we agreeing to have the town administrator sign this, or are we agreeing for the town administrator to manage the project?
Signing this.
Okay.
Make a motion that we how are we going to word this? Subrogate our authority?
Well, the town
Say that's what
administrator
I'll
to
say.
sign this on
Subrogate our
behalf of the Board of
authority
Selectmen.
to allow town administrator Paul Branscombe to sign the document for the Caliph Hill State Aid Highway Program amended project agreement.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you, Madam Chair, very much. In my last report, I mentioned that the Tilton Hazard Mitigation Plan had been returned by FEMA for some corrective items. Dave Jeffers from LRPC did some information from Chief Gilman about the EOP and Leanne Moynihan regarding some land use and flood insurance practices. Dave Jeffers then worked with the state planner at Homeland Security Emergency Management on the language to meet FEMA's new requirements, which we talked about actually at the last meeting. Our plan is now on an expedited review track, and once approved, Dave Jeffers will bring the plan to the board for local adoption.
Thank you.
On Tuesday the 23rd, I interviewed an individual for a position in our DPW, and we'll be discussing this later this evening.
Mhm.
I met with Sally Tanner, our Primex member services consultant today, to discuss the annual Prime certification program. I'm not sure that the town is aware of this or you've experienced it before. This is an 8-step requirement which, when completed, allows for a discount in costs for property and liability and workers' comp insurance coverage. We also discussed training programs for our DPW crew and action required to report our property liability, workers' comp, and unemployment compensation exposures to Primex. So this Prime is very interesting. It starts in April and goes through the end of the year. We already have some of these boxes ticked. We have a seatbelt law. I believe we have a joint loss management committee, and it ends with a mandatory harassment class put on by Primex. So once these 8 steps are completed in a calendar year, we then get quite a sizable discount on our insurance costs.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Joe.
please.
What does it cost us
It doesn't cost
to pay?
it doesn't cost anything because it's included in the dues
Good enough.
that we pay
That answers my question.
to Primex.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Mm-hmm.
If we're going to be
Yeah.
getting a discount,
Yep, I
Yeah.
agree.
I'm sure Selectman Dawson excited about the discount.
Thank you. Thanks.
I am.
This morning I met with Fire Chief Sitar, who gave me a tour of the facility, and we discussed the Tilton Northfield Fire District, which of course I'm not familiar with. Now I know that the fire department doesn't report to the Board of Selectmen and the town administrator. I was amazed how they've got the fire engine and the ambulance and the offices and the sleeping quarters for the firefighters in such a small space.
It's quite a hike up those stairs, isn't it?
Well, they're not in, yes, yeah, it's quite a hike. And coming down, you're going to hit your head on that. Yeah, it's not easy. It wasn't easy. I had a visit from Ken Horton of the Winnipesaukee River Trail Association, who wanted to introduce himself and inform me about the trail and the vision for the future. I'm going to participate. I believe it's the 17th of February, at one of their foothills meetings up at the Highlands. I think I should do that. Tomorrow morning, I'm meeting with Mary Kate Daly from Eversource to discuss the open items that Jeannie left for me as regards to the relocation and repair of poles. I know where they are, you know where they are,
Uh-huh.
and they've got to be handled ASAP. So
Right.
we're going to do that. Madam Chair's already mentioned a big shout out to the crew who did an excellent job setting up at the New Hampshire primary and letting us all have for the venue. I also want to say a big shout out. They handled the icy roads during the storm. The roads were a beast, but they certainly tamed it, and we all managed to get home safely. At the Board of Selectmen meeting now scheduled for February 15th, our assessor and 2 representatives from the Department of Revenue Association Administration will appear before the board to discuss our 2024 assessment review.
Thank you.
When does Avatar's contract come up for renewal? Do you happen to know?
It's in the book here, right behind the DOT.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. It's,
I think just did it.
the contract is right there. Hold on. Revaluation agreement. I thought I saw contract in here. Yeah, it's a 5-year, 1/1/20 to 24. This was signed 2020. So
Well, that's the reevaluation update agreement, but that's not our
all the other ones you mean?
That's not our contract with Avatar, right? There's 2. There's this and
Yeah.
our contract with Avatar.
That's the reevaluation agreement.
This is the reval.
Right. There's a couple of contracts, though. Don't the town clerk, tax collector have one, and then I'll have to ask Tim when
I'll
that's
check
up.
it. Yes, I'll check it for you.
That's it for the town administrator's report.
Yes, Madam Chair, it is. Thank you.
Okay. While we are fresh and not so tired, annual town dedication. Going home last 2 meetings ago because I wasn't here in person. I wrote down a name, one that we have not heard for the dedication, one that's not been on the list.
Yes.
Anybody else have any other suggestions?
I was coming up blank. I had forgot my already been.
That's it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah. Oh, did we succeed on both one, the top one, bottom one,
Both.
I'm on both.
both?
Yeah.
Both? Got it. Great.
That top one is,
Yeah.
we're
I'm
talking
surprised that that one
decades.
hasn't, yeah.
I
yeah,
am too. I
Yep.
was shocked when it wasn't on the
That
list.
should be for
Me-
the next 3 years, then we can just have it done.
yeah.
So-
Yeah, that would be great. Okay, next assignment. Last year, we approved for a youth award, and John had detailed
Youth
very
youth
nicely
volunteer, right? The youth
the
volunteer.
criteria
Yeah.
for the, what we would look for to nominate a youth award for someone in Tilton. I think he wanted it to go up to somebody up to age 25. And also Community Service Award. So we'll do that next week, okay? Tim really wanted this done tonight, so he'll be happy that that's done. So next week with Community Service Award, we have a little bit of time for that because that's town meeting, and then the Youth Award that we give out with the plaque, okay?
Should, I think we all agreed about including a page in the annual report on the Historical Society. Did we designate someone like John Scanlon to write it?
Oh, I thought we were gonna ask John to write it.
John
John
Should I say
Cirillo.
John
Scanlon?
Cirillo.
Oh,
John
John
Cirillo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just have him do it.
Oh, that's even better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, ask
Okay.
him to,
I couldn't remember.
because
where
he's
we
the
left
chair.
it.
John
Just,
Scanlon, we just called John Cirillo. You might as
I'd
well
say send me a
skip
little
the
blip.
middleman.
Send me a
Right,
little blip
so it-
over.
someone
We
want
should
to,
let him know because,
because it needs to be in yesterday. Do, speaking of which, hold on. So who wants to contact him and,
I'll send him a text right now. I'm pretty sure I've got it.
Madam Chairperson.
yes. Oh, okay.
I think he's been contacted because
He's working on it?
he's already written.
Oh,
Oh,
look at
okay.
that.
Okay.
Okay.
I saw a copy of it last
That's,
night.
I wish I remembered I saw him today.
Okay.
So he was at the school. today.
This is a draft, and I just want you to just.
Oh, so it's already here. Never mind.
No, this mine,
Oh.
and just say yay or nay. If it's nay, then whoever says nay, they get to write it.
Oh, nice.
There are a couple of mistakes in it. It should be restaurant or something like that, but I'll fix that. Oh, I'm sorry, Paul. I should have given you.
Oh, let me get it.
Reasonable facsimile? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
so in our third paragraph up,
Oh, we get it.
sadly had to say goodbye. Should we gladly say hello?
I was going to ask you that. Yes. Want to?
I think we should.
Okay.
Don't you guys?
Yes,
I
yes,
agree. Yeah, I
absolutely.
agree,
Okay.
actually. Yeah,
To the new
that's-
people.
I was
Yep,
thinking of
okay.
that when I read it.
Will do.
And the step up at Public Works, what they, they stepped up, the two of them to
Yeah.
Okay,
share that duty.
got
I
it.
think you acknowledged them in the whole crew, just
Well, the whole crew, but,
Yeah. The two who've,
they all stepped up.
Yeah.
They've done amazing.
So,
they were out of the head of the state trucks the other day on Salt.
hello and the step up. Okay, I can handle that.
Otherwise, it's stellar.
Good, great. Thank you.
Oh, goodness.
That's
Managed to
perfect.
get a lot said on one page. Tim will be delighted.
Well, it's small print and I didn't pay too much to have it written. No, I'm just kidding.
You gotta learn to use Chat GPT these days, the AI, just let it go and then add your stuff in.
I still have senior center one to write, so. Okay, approval of minutes. But before we do that, what did I just do with them? Oh, I put them away. That's what I did. I have a note from Sue on our January 4th minutes that we wanted corrected. Please note, this is what Sue wrote. Please note that the line in question is written how Kevin Hutchinson said it. Would you like me to add property after the word commercial? Sue. And what was in question, Kevin said that he is not familiar with that type of commercial, so he was relying on this gentleman to represent their corporation. So Sue is asking, should you just want her to put in commercial property?
That would make sense.
Okay.
It would, but that's not what he said.
No.
But
I'm
there's no,
kind of if we're going to start quoting people, we shouldn't read intent into
but it's, she got it in italics. Is it a quote?
No. No, it's, please note that the line in question is written how Kevin Hutchinson said it.
That would make it a quote.
Let's just keep it as is.
Well, she puts it in italics.
It's not in italics. I got the old one and the new one. It's not in italics.
That's a quote. I mean, because I've read Catherine Dawson said, and it's not exactly what I said, but it was close enough.
So
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I've never seen in these where we've actually quoted somebody verbatim.
Oh, I've seen it plenty of times, Catherine. Go back over the minute.
well, and then the paragraph where it says, that same paragraph, but at the very, very beginning, Selectman Dawson said that the only site plan approved for the property was in 2004, and her memory is that it did not allow any parking in the parking lot until it was expanded. And her correction was Selectman Dawson said that the only site plan approved for the property was in 2004. And her memory is that it did not allow any parking off the existing paved parking lot until it was expanded.
So the parking lot was expanded, right?
Existing paved parking lot.
That's right, until
Right.
it was expanded.
Expanded, correct. So that was added off the existing paved.
It's not,
Do you want to,
it's fine. It's not a killer. I mean, it's not a drop dead.
well, do you want to check these and
Yeah,
make a motion to
just let it
approve?
go.
We need to approve these, that's all.
Okay, motion to approve.
Okay. Second, motion to approve the January 4th as corrected. So, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we have the 11th and the 18th now to work on.
I've noticed that we don't mark the time that we adjourn, and that when we come out of non-public, it doesn't, so
We-
we get a motion to go in.
We state the time when we come out.
I don't see it on,
Yeah, but we don't have the time we went in either. We used to do the time being
Right,
8:02 or whatever.
yep,
So, Sue, if you're listening to this, you could make that change and we'll be sure to say the times
going forward,
Yeah.
right.
at this point.
yeah, see on page 4 in the January 11th, we've got the roll call vote to go in. And then all of a sudden,
Yep.
Selectman Constantino made an announcement that the Board of Selectmen of, I mean, it really should say we came out of non-public.
Yep,
At such and such
We
a
ended the
time.
non-public session at.
Yeah.
And then
Right.
where it says adjournment, it should say
right,
the time. I just think,
Yep.
mostly because when people go online to watch these, the more times we have in there, the easier it is for them to find what they're looking for.
Mhm.
Can I?
do you want to send this? Go ahead, Paul.
It should be my responsibility to let Sue know the time that we come out, make sure the times are on the minutes going forward.
Please do.
Well, if she's listening to the however she does her minutes, either
Yeah.
to the tape or to the video, then she'll get we
Yeah.
say it.
Right.
So,
That would be probably the only
We
time
have, sorry.
we would do something like that.
Yeah.
Because you're right, it would be your responsibility.
Yeah. So
Um,
I'll make sure that the times are, if
Okay.
she
does the
doesn't put 'em
board
on-
want to send these back, or do you want to go
No.
forward and have it done,
Forward.
to go
Otherwise,
forward?
you'd have to go a long ways backwards.
Okay. Make a motion that we approve the January 11th as written.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. January 18th.
I make a motion to accept the minutes of January 18th as written.
Jessamine, second?
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Uh, I'll abstain. I have one thing, though. If you're online, are you absent?
Yes. Whoa, no. No, 91A allows you to participate in the meeting electronically
Right.
under certain conditions. And you were sick, so I think that qualifies.
So this says I'm absent.
We've done that before. Do you have insight?
During COVID, you were allowed to do that and you were allowed to vote
Mhm.
virtually. Now we're not in that position. You are,
So they have
No.
terminated that.
yes.
In 91A, if there are circumstances
Yeah,
beyond
correct.
COVID.
Correct. If there are circumstances beyond the control of the individual selectman,
Right,
yes,
and
that is
being
true.
sick is one of those.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have been marked absent,
Okay.
but it should note that you
You
participated
participated, yes.
So it should
electronically.
say participated.
Well, and I
Virtually.
believe it has to say why.
Yes, that is correct. That
Yeah.
is correct. Yeah.
So can we change that little part?
Yep.
Doesn't have to come back to us for approval, but just change that little part.
Right.
Okay. Selectmen's reports. Catherine.
So, as you said, the election went off well. I was a little worried about the setup, but yay to the Public Works crew and those who showed up. It was great. But there are specific responsibilities of the Board of Selectmen to the election. One of them is the setup and the supplying of pens and all of that. I noticed when we were there that there were items we didn't have.
I have a list.
I do too. So I would like us to create a tote
Mhm.
that is labeled Selectmen's election supplies, and that we have those things in there.
Okay.
One of them specifically is signage. There was some there that I got from the moderator, and I'm not sure if the town clerk had signs, but those seem to be scattered.
Okay.
If we're going to do a complete setup, we're going to need
Okay.
signage.
Got it. So
That sounds good.
supplies, you want to make
Well,
a,
I've got a list here of some of them. Catherine says she has a list as well. Things like binder clips,
okay.
duct tape.
Yep.
And there's others, and I can give my list to you. You can get with Paul, or we can vice versa it,
Yeah.
and then Paul can cause the bin to be created.
I can have Gabby figure out how to send my list to Paul.
All right.
And
And I will give you
I
my
can't.
list.
Yeah. So one other thing, the statute requires law enforcement to attend an election.
they were there.
I was told they weren't. I'm sorry.
Start
Oh.
to finish they were there, and
Wow.
We're there.
sometimes
Oh,
Beg your
multiple. I
pardon.
don't know
Sure,
who
who
told
said
you
But we
that?
were
that.
there.
No, they were
These-
there.
yep.
Whoever
Oh.
told you
Yeah,
that was
Oh,
either not there,
Every,
but they would
every
have to
minute,
be not there.
We were
Because
there.
they were
Yeah.
standing right by the door.
every minute. they
thank
were
you,
there.
Chief.
Every minute. Yeah.
No, there was probably a 4 minute after Officer Glines got called away to a situation within the school, him being the SRO. Took a couple of minutes for Officer Paulus, I believe, was the next guy on. There
Yep.
was like 2 or 3 minutes. There wasn't
Yeah.
a police officer in the lobby,
But there was one in the building.
oh yeah,
There is in the manual, the election manual, a list of
The signage.
items the selectmen are responsible for, specifically for setup.
Okay.
Um,
So we'll need to get the signage created.
yeah, I mean, it's easy. Well, I
Okay.
say it's easy. Cindy used to make them on the computer, you know, the arrows
they're
and that kind of
they're
thing.
just computerized and laminated. So
Oh, okay.
those same big
Oh, those kinds
arrows.
of, I thought it was specific
No, there is
signage, so
some
you need
specific things, like I noticed that, and it
RSAs and
happens
stuff.
every year, so this year I did make a note. When people come after they've left the ballot boxes,
Mhm.
they come, they're always, a lot of them are confused, where do I go? Because
Mhm.
the ballot box used to be at the, I'm going to call western side of the table. Now it's on the eastern side. So it's the last thing when you go out.
I've never seen it on the opposite end.
Yeah, it was.
And I've been doing it 13 years, so
Yeah.
just prior to that.
Yeah, I mean, and it was moved because conversation would take place after the ballot was cast. And it's a lot easier for the moderator to control that with where it is, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, if we specifically create signage, we used to have these plastic sign things. I kind of
Yeah,
looked for them and didn't
with the
see them,
bases on them.
with the heavy bases that we could put ballot box, you know, with an arrow and have it stuck out there. And then another
We must still
sign,
have those somewhere.
another
That
sign
downstairs somewhere, unless they've cleaned that out.
that says ballot box, but using those acrylic or plastic or whatever they are, you know, I think they're really designed for pictures that we could actually sit on the table. We taped one to the ballot box, but it was hard to see. Just little things like that
Got it.
would make it a much more smoother
All right.
event.
And what I would add to that, which would be an action item, is those sandwich boards we have. Two of them look like they were drawn on by a 6-year-old.
Yep.
And they're scribbled all over in permanent marker, and you can't read them till you get right up on them. We have one that's fairly nicely painted. I stuck that down near the road so people didn't have to go, what is that? What was that? And the times that we used to say 8, but we rubbed 8 out and wrote 7 in like a Sharpie. And you can't, it looks bad. I
What about the
wasn't
really
proud.
nice ones that we bought years ago and that we could change the lettering on it?
These ones here have potential to do that. These are the nicest ones I've seen, but the actual writing, they need to be repainted and block lettered so that they look right,
Okay.
in my opinion.
I agree. And the other thing that needs to take place is that handicap tent needs to be cleaned. It smells so bad. It's like a tent. I mean, you have
Yeah.
to set it up
It is a pop-up.
and you've got to wash it on the inside with a brush and on the outside. It's just like cleaning a tent. I looked at it. I think taking it apart and sending it to the cleaners would be a mistake, but you have to clean it like a tent.
And they have spray stuff that'll
Yeah.
do that.
But I set it up and take it down most years. I got to tell you, it's really rough sitting in there.
Okay, let's get it done. If we can give me the list of what needs to be done with the arrows and all that, I can probably create it.
You have to sit down and create, okay, we need one here and we need one there,
Yeah.
as opposed to saying, oh yeah, we need 15 double-sided arrows.
Well, Cindy used to come with, what she made is she'd have, in a plastic sleeve, a right arrow, and on the other side would be a left arrow.
Yeah.
And then she had, single ones, because some places you put them up, you don't want that other arrow on the other side because it's confusing. But she would have, 10 of each, let's say. And maybe we didn't use them, but sometimes, like the primary, not the primary, the presidential election in November, we may end up with 3 alleyways to the ballot
I
clerks.
would-
We may
I
split
would
the
think.
book 3 ways.
We are
In
gonna
that
need
case, we'd need more arrows.
We also need
And in the manual,
letters.
it suggests,
Yeah.
it is a suggestion, but most communities follow it, on how that ballot book is, ballot book. The ballot clerks' books are broken up alphabetically. I think it's A through K is what we used
Yeah,
the
and
other
then
day.
L
and
through
then
Z.
Okay, L through Z.
L through Z. And
Yep.
we were minus those. We had the ones to put up with the ballot clerks themselves, but not the ones down here. It's those kinds of things.
Well, I certainly can help do that. I got a laser printer at home. I can help with it. Just give me
I mean, I can
let
sit
me help.
down with the lists and
Yep.
with the manual and come up with a
Yep.
more specific, but I just think it would be nice to have all that.
Absolutely.
And painter's tape, so we don't take,
Yes.
we
Right.
don't leave trace behind.
Okay. That it?
That is it for me.
Scott.
So just wanted to alert the community. I had posted on a couple of the local social media discussion pages today. Next, the Sunday, February 4th, up at the Tilton School Gym, also known as the Mark. There's a couple of graduating seniors who are sponsoring a thrift store, open to everyone from the Tilton, Northfield, Samberton community. Things will be at very, very inexpensive rates. It's been donations by the whole Tilton school community, students, etc. So I think you'll get there'll be some good clothing there, some sporting goods, things like that. So
Pretty interesting items.
so it's open. It is open Sunday, February 4th. It's a short window of time, but it's 1 to 2:30. The doors will be open. This is a senior project, a community-based project called our Legacy Project, and it's there for the entire community to come in. You can probably get some pretty good clothing, especially for teenagers, at a pretty inexpensive price. So
Nice.
Would they be having signage to direct
So
people?
I have made the suggestion. I'm pretty close to one of the graduating seniors who's sponsoring this. project. So, but yeah, I will make sure that they've got some folks directing some traffic
Yeah,
out there.
because
hopefully.
otherwise
So,
somebody's going to show up and go,
yeah, yeah. So we'll make sure that's part of it. But I just wanted to alert everyone that that's out there, and it's something that they felt that they could do for the community and benefit the community for not a lot of cost, which will help in this day and age. And that's all I have.
Joe,
Catherine stole my whole thing. And we've discussed all the stuff I had on my list.
okay. I have one, Mr. and Mrs. Sano contacted me. Uh,
How are Mr. and Mrs.
they're
Simon?
fine. Well,
Excellent.
I shouldn't say fine. They're a little bit perturbed. When they created the parking space, they built posts. They created cement bases and steel posts, and then put the rope around it so nobody would go into their parking space. However, whoever is plowing is plowing the snow directly into their parking lot.
Is that Public Works?
No, I've checked with Public Works. They are not doing it. It is, I've had long discussions with the interim director, and they cannot get the way the setup is currently, they cannot get their plow behind where it's being pushed into. And today I happened to go by, and it's a white pickup truck, but it went behind the fire station, directly in front of the vehicles that are parked by the railroad track, and then just push the snow into their parking lot.
Where'd the snow come from?
All along that road going in back of the fire station on up. So I had a conversation with the fire commissioners to speak with the fire department. Also, the other issue is whomever is plowing in front, and it's not the highway department, in front of the fire department, they're, where that little brick, little garden that they have that's maybe about 10 inches high of brick in front of their drain. They're pushing all the snow directly into that.
Is that Public Works?
No, it's not. And it's, so people in the different businesses around have said that it's the fire department that's doing that. So I've spoken with the fire commissioner, and he said he would take care of it. But just to alert all of you that in case they do complain that it is, I did call them back and say, listen, I've contacted the fire commissioner, and then he'll be in touch with you. So that was an issue that I think we've taken care of as far as we can go. It's not
Well,
anything to do with us.
we need to let the Tilton Fire Department know that they
Shouldn't be maintaining the lot.
shouldn't be plowing
Mm-mm.
off of their property. And if they're pushing that into their parking lot, they're pushing snow across town property.
Mm-hmm.
And they need to, on both sides.
Right.
I mean,
You can, I'll show you a picture.
we need to let them know that whoever they've got plowing their little bit of space needs to stop.
So
Because they only have the front and the back, don't they?
this is in,
Yeah. I think they have one space on the, or two spaces on the left-hand side.
this is where Cecile's house is, and this is the back of the fire station. And they're just pushing it all the way and back into there. And then you could see, this is again, in the fire station's here. And these are the handicap spaces. They actually lifted the rope and then they plowed in back. And look at that. So the handicap,
Yeah, yeah.
they
Yeah.
lifted the rope and plowed right into their parking space.
Okay,
And this is the back of the
got it.
the Tilton.
Yeah, I know.
And then here's a better picture here. Here's the fire station, and
Okay.
they've gone right in back there.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
we need to make sure that they
I
understand
don't
that
need to say
they have
that.
to
The
stay off,
basic part is the fire department doesn't plow the lot,
they have
and
to
that takes care of that.
keep their plow off of town
We
property.
think that it's the fire department. I have not seen that happen.
Who
But
else would plow
people-
that?
Right. We don't know. I have no idea.
Contract.
It could be somebody that somebody's hiring. I have no idea.
Well,
But,
again, they shouldn't be plowing the
If it's
town
somebody
lot
contract, they
right.
shouldn't touch it.
because it has to go in certain places. And obviously, this is
There's also
becoming an issue.
liability.
Right.
Big liability.
Right. So they were pleased that we had taken care of it, that I had taken care of it. And then I called the fire commissioner and they're looking forward to coming back, getting a phone call from one of the commissioners. So hopefully
Nice. Thank
sooner
you.
rather than later.
Thank you.
We took care of the award. The 2024 hold on a minute, I'll tell you what the title is, so you'll all know. For the seniors award, the governor's award, it used to be the Vaughn Award.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
Okay, so last year we had a name that we all wanted to do. Well, we all want to do that name again because that person came in runner-up, so we need to do that, but we need to really progress and do that. Actually, the first name.
no.
So came in second, not good enough. So we need to push and get a number of letters from Belknap County. And that should suffice, I hope.
Lakes Region Planning would know that name, I would think.
So we need to get letters going in there, the deadline. I'll get the letter out, the email out to everybody, including you, Chief. Okay, that's about it for me. We've approved the minutes. At this time,
Time
the time being 6:37. Good night, Greg. So nice reading your articles, by the way. It's really great.
Yes.
So
Outstanding.
it's fun reading them. The time being 6:37, I make a motion to move into non-public per RSA 91A:3, 2B, the hiring of any person as a public employee, and 1, consideration of legal advice.
Jessamine second.
Roll call vote.
Jessamine, yes.
Ruggles, yes.
Dawson, yes.
Constantino, yes. Thanks, Greg.
This conference will now be recorded.
Back, the time being 9:02. I'd like to make a motion to seal the minutes of the January 25th, 2024, because disclosure would adversely affect the reputation of a person other than a member of the board.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. I'd like to make a motion. Oh, I got to pull this out again. Hold on.
You want the figures?
Yes.
2,291,780.
That's the police budget.
Okay, say it again.
2,291,780.
I'd like to make a motion to approve $2,291,780 for the police department budget.
Second, Jessamine?
Motion has been made and seconded. Discussion?
Seems like a lot of money somehow.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye, please
Let the record show. Catherine Dawson said
Yeah, there's an
no.
extra patrol officer in there.
Oh, geez.
No, there isn't.
That's not. Again,
Yes, there is.
No, there
History
isn't.
shows it.
Stop it.
History shows it.
And we're good.
Stop it.
And
History.
Make
gotta
'em-
drive it.
Joe, do you have something to add tonight?
Please.
Last but not least, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
9:05?
9:05, we're adjourning.
Oh, gosh. I hope my little monkey's asleep.
Don't forget to lock the chicken door.
I know. Actually, it's because of the weather, with the snow on the ground, it's not.